Hey, welcome back to SAM.gov Bids Live, where we walk through small business solicitations together on SAM.gov and answer your questions along the way. Today, I actually have 5 small business solicitations pulled up that we will be jumping into in just a second. If you do happen to be new here and you don't want to miss future SAM.gov bid episodes, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking that notification bell as well so you can ask your questions live on a future stream. If you do happen to be somebody who was, say, recently registered in SAM.gov and you're looking to get started bidding right now, make sure you also check out my website, GovKidMethod.com, for free and paid resources that were designed specifically for new federal contractors just like you. So let's go ahead and take a glance at the 5 solicitations that I have pulled up for today. Not sure if we will get through all 5, but we will just see how it goes. The first solicitation is for data robot software. The second is for fire equipment inspection services. Number 3 is for inspection of fire pumps. Number 4, snow removal services. And 5, crane rental with licensed operator. All right. If you haven't seen one of these or you're just catching one of these on replay, we focus on service type solicitations, which many things that the government buys falls underneath services. So if you have a question about that, or if what you're looking to offer is a fit for that, feel free to ask that. And then also, since we are live, any questions we will get to in between bids. So like I said, we have 4 or 5 solicitations we will get through today. And then we'll take a little mini break in between each of those to address anything that we have live in the chat and answer questions. And then we'll move on to the next solicitation. So that's the rhythm and beat that we kind of march to. Hello, Freddie Games. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us again. I definitely recognize you. Hello, Lala. Thanks for joining us. Hello, hello. Dr. Virginia is back. Hello, hello. We got Bulldog Trading as well. If you guys are into trading, why don't you go ahead and check out Bulldog's YouTube channel. He also has a YouTube as well. Just a shout out to Bulldog since he hangs out with us so much as well. Again, Bulldog Trading, you can see it there on the screen. Cool, guys. Well, let's go ahead and dive into our first solicitation. And good to be back. Hope everybody had a great, let's say, extended holiday weekend. So data robot software, number 1. Offers due September 9th, literally due in 2 days. So as I say, this will be more of an example than probably something practical that you'll be able to go after because there's just not much time. Small business set aside on this 518-210 NAICS code, and the place of performance is Washington, D.C. We'll see what they mean by that. We'll try to dive in since this appears to just be providing software only as to how much that place of performance is actually going to affect the delivery of the contract here. They're letting us know this is request for proposal, RFP. They want you to provide this AI tool to assist with criminal investigator so that they can analyze and articulate fraudulent activity. So that's what they want to use the software for. The agency is also Homeland Security, U.S. Secret Service. All right, so kind of makes sense what their use case is going to be for this. They do also intend, they're telling us, base +4. So up to a 5-year contract to, again, be what appears to provide this software, this AI tool. We only have one attachment, the solicitation itself. We will be diving in and spending the majority of our time looking at that. We do have Keisha Pender in contracting as well as Catherine Dennis for any questions that we may come up with as we go through the bid. Those would be the RFIs, POCs to submit to. Let's go ahead and open up our solicitation and see what we're looking at. So this is 9 pages. They're actually calling it a request for quote. I'll just point out there's so many little details that contracting kind of misses, or they get wrong, or they did a copy and paste job and they didn't catch it. Not a huge deal. There is a difference between an RFP and an RFQ though. And we just are making, oops, wrong one. That's my script. We're making a mental note. So it's actually RFQ, which is what I think is more appropriate for this. So I'm validated in seeing that. Reading through our evaluation here, it's really going to be broken down to this information. So I'm just going to skip ahead. All proposals will be evaluated on a lowest price, technically acceptable basis. So right out of the gate, we know this is LPTA. Also follows suit with many RFQ purchases like this. So we know this is the lowest price. Evaluation weight is based on technical factors, including technical features, 1, technical training, 2, technical support, 3, and then also, I guess that's all built into 1, but 3 different things. Hardware support, and then the price and cost. So technical, hardware support, and then price. That's how you're going to be found technically acceptable. If you can check these 2 boxes for the technical and the hardware support, then they're going to look at your price. And again, they're just kind of rehashing that in the table here. Reps and certs, terms and conditions. Then we're hit with our statement of work. Okay, so background, objectives, specific tasks. The software or equivalent, so they are creating space to allow for equivalent to this AI software if there's something other than Data Robot that you want to propose. But it sounds like Data Robot is the name brand that they're wanting. And unless you know of something that's just as good, that's going to be more price competitive with all those same bells and whistles, you're probably just going to stick with name brand. They're giving us the salient features, the salient characteristics here. So this is what they're looking for. And hey, even when you're just providing a number, we're still checking the boxes for the technical, like technical features. This is what they're going to want to see in your quote unquote quote, if you will. They want you to reflect environment, machine learning and AI capabilities, data cap, ML ops, so machine learning capabilities as well, the user interface, and then software support. So you're going to do a page or 2 short white paper talking about these salient features and what you're proposing. And maybe that's just providing the specs from the brand itself. Doesn't have to be complicated, guys. We do have this is our pricing table, it appears. We did know this is a base plus 4. So they did kind of mess up the numbering here. It should really read 1001, 2001, 3001, 4001. So it's a little backwards, but that's okay. We're just pointing these little things out so you guys can have the edge when you're learning this stuff properly and fundamentally. So it's the software, and they're saying comprehensive package. So it's going to be the software and the support that they've already stated multiple times. Okay. But it's quantity 1. So the unit price and the total price is going to be the same number. Okay. So whatever it is for the comprehensive package, right, for 1 unit, and then for one year as well, it's going to be the same thing. And then you're going to have your TEV, or your grand total, your total evaluated value down here. This is all 5 years. And if you do a good job, guys, just so you know how option years work, if you're not familiar, do a good job during the base year. Don't give contracting a reason to not execute the options, i.e. stay in regular contact with your contracting officer representative, your core, and any situations that arise, make sure, that's going to the contracting officer themselves. You got to keep them in the loop just as much, and provide all the deliverables that are required in your contract. Then they will probably have every reason to execute the options, which turns a 1-year contract into a 5-year contract, which is a great thing, right? And then we want to scale this. We want to start going after additional contracts. And we want to implement systems into our business, like bidding systems, so that we are playing the numbers game, so that now you have a 5-year forecast where you're banking multiple contracts year after year. And if you're at all familiar with like insurance or financial advising or having a book of business, each year your book grows and grows. So then you have these residuals because you have these multi-year contracts. So by the time you reach year 3 or 4, you're extended out, a total of say 10 years from when you started, the first 3 to 4 years that you're going through, plus the next 4 or 5, right? and you've been basically stacking your book of business each and every year, getting more and more profitable each and every time while you continue to manage and grow these contracts. That's my goal for you, and that's what people do who are successful in the space. They stack contracts year on year. Point being, you want to get the, long story short, you want to get the option years executed. Please don't just sub it out and just forget about it. This is not a set it and forget it type thing. Government contracting, you have to be involved, even if you're working with a sub. Anyways, what else we got here? Definitions, acronyms. They are, let's see here. Is this the alternate proposal? Yeah, so the offeror is invited to propose alternate line items, bids, proposals, quotes to ensure that the resulting contract is economically and administratively advantageous to the government, i.e. if the government missed something, right? Or you just have a better way, you can still provide them what they're asking for, i.e. checking those boxes technically and the pricing table here, but you could do it in alternate, saying, hey, we can do this. We're going to descope this, or we're going to overlap this, and it's going to save the government 30%. It's best for taxpayers' dollars. It's best for the government, and it's best for us. If you want to put together a alternate proposal like that, they're saying you are invited to do so. Let me try and get back to my page that I lost. If I can, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Not a big deal. This is sensitive information. This is Secret Service. Payment requests, and yeah, that's about it. So again, what we tackled, and we'll move on from this one just shortly. So if you're getting anxious, we'll be moving on pretty soon. But this kind of tasks in the PWS, this is meat. This pricing table, this is definitely meat of the proposal. And then our evaluation. This is the meat of the proposal as well. Like the meat of the solicitation. I'm sorry, I said proposal. The meat of the solicitation, but what's going to empower you to do your proposal. These three chunks is really what you're looking to do. And I know this is due in 2 days, but arguably if you could get pricing for this, then maybe you could put it together in 24 hours and submit it before the deadline. You just want to make sure you're checking these two boxes, and then you're being competitive on your price if you're trying to win this thing. All right. So that is our first one. And guys, yes, these do exist. They do have lots of, IT software buys. You just got to, read into it, give them what they're asking for, which is what we practice here on the channel. Let's see. Hello, everybody. J Storm D missed training number 10. It's out there if you missed it. Thought you were done for the format for a while. Good to see you. Yeah, no, it's just a long weekend, and didn't do Monday because of the holidays. So we're back again today and tomorrow, and the next week should be full swing for a normal week as well. So War Dog, what's going on? Good to see you as well. When registering in SAM, there's a process where they validate the taxpayer name and the TIN. Yep. Is the taxpayer name the business name registered, or is it the name as the owner? A lot of people get this wrong. There's two primary things that cause a SAM.gov registration. Guys, if you're watching or listening and you're not registered in SAM yet, pay attention. There's two things that's going to cause a ticket to be submitted. One is IRS TIN mismatch. Okay. That means, and War Dog, the answer to your question, and what that means is the info you gave the IRS when you obtained your TIN, which is probably going to be your EIN number for your business. Your EIN is a form of TIN, but if it's a sole proprietorship, your SSN is going to be a form of TIN as well. But most people, it's your employer ID number. The information you submitted to them has to match exactly what you're trying to do for your SAM.gov registration, because that's what they're referring to. So I don't know what you inputted for that. That's what you need to go back and look at. If you have any email correspondences with the IRS, or that you receive some sort of notification. If nothing else, you can always contact, because the IRS actually does have a pretty good contact line. I've had to call them myself. You could get that information. Otherwise, what most people do is it's like, oh, I left out a middle initial, or it wasn't supposed to be my business name. It was my personal name, because that's what I submitted for, my TIN to the IRS. So personally, like I'm human. My last registration, I had to go through this process like 4 times. Took it added 2 weeks to the process until I was like, okay, I'll write this one down, submit. Nope, not that one, because I just could not figure it out, even with going back with my intel with the IRS. I still couldn't find it, because I was like, this is the one that I submitted. I don't know why it's getting pushed back, but it ended up not being the case. So I totally feel your pain, War Dog. Been there, done that, and I know many federal contractors who are going through it as well. So that's my feedback on that, and I hope it helps. Bulldog says, did a good job my first year, and they kept me on for multiple years. Awesome. Hey, Bulldog, if you're willing to share, what type of contract was it? Just, in short, what type of contract is it? And question for a friend who wants to get into contracting. Where should he start? He should start by my selfish plug is you can go through my free masterclass on my website. That's a great place to start. Or anybody who's looking to start, just go to GovKidMethod.com. I've got a free training on there, totally updated for the new SAM system. And it's basically the best of what I've learned from working with many coaching clients and what their struggles are and were. We put all that in there, along with a lot of the small business regulations that people struggle with, and just building out a system to get started with. I cram all that into the masterclass. Aside from that, the other answer I give is just to spend an uncomfortable amount of time, I say, on SAM.gov, doing a lot of manual searches, and also transitioning into doing some automated searches as well, to really understand your customers. What are they buying? Because there's nothing worse than going through the hoops of getting registered in SAM, in some cases setting up a business for that as well, and then saying, I don't know what to go after. What should my quote unquote niche be? What contracts are the good contracts to go after? That's what you want to have ironed out before you do that. So then once you do get your cage code and SAM registration complete, then you can hit the ground running. Unfortunately, most people get registered and then they hit the wall for the next 6 to 12 months because they didn't do this homework first. And then they hear about the bells and whistles, and eventually, you get weak, and those bells and whistles seem more attractive, and you get desperate in some regards to, throw money at things like GSA schedules, or collecting all the set-asides like they're Pokemon, or, thinking that any of these things are substitutes for actually learning how to bid and win. Okay, because that's really all that you need to be focused on. But you can only learn how to bid and win if you understand your customers, if you've identified what I call a proven concept, you have a viable business model for contracts and services, what I say, your umbrella of services to go after on SAM. If you don't have that, you're going to kind of, willpower fades. We want to set ourselves up with systems and to win. And this is really leaning into creating your first system, which is what I call a prospecting system, which we also go into a lot more depth in the masterclass. So I've been spending time on that because I know there's a lot of people that have that same question. So hopefully that helps. Hey, Cash Lou, what's going on? I'm new to government contracting and came across your channel. Awesome. Thanks for hanging out with us, and welcome. And consider subscribing if you like what you see. Yeah, Bulldog says you found the right place. For sure, for sure. Couple more here, then we'll move on to the next solicitation, guys, for the interest of time. On the IRS, it's my business name, but under that is my legal name. So I first did my legal name, and then I resubmitted because that got kicked back with my entity name. Yeah, that's what I would say too. You tried the other one, the first one didn't work, got kicked back, try the opposite. That's kind of the same thing that I had to go through as well, if you don't remember what you submitted. Hey, Jasmine, welcome. Jasmine Jarman, new to the channel as well. Do you ever go over product commodity-based contracts? Occasionally. I'm just not huge on it because there's not a lot of teachable moments from it. Most of the time, it's just like, well, put your price in. So I focus more on like helping you in government contracting, and those bids, they're usually extremely straightforward. Many of them kick you back to Unison Marketplace, where again, it's just kind of like a reverse auction. So it's not that I'm against them by any means. It's more so there's not much to teach here on the lives. And again, not that I'm against it, but long term, I do like to see contractors move out of procurement, move out of doing the product game, because it really is like a rat wheel. Margins are very small, and you have to, like I say, play the numbers game. But to do that, you have to do hundreds of bids throughout the year to have something that's sustainable, versus the service clients that I work with and what I teach is more like, like dozens, much more manageable, much more focused on quality over quantity. So yeah, that's my thoughts. All right, guys. We'll get back to the comments in just a few. We'll move on to our next solicitation now. Close this one out. And number 2 is actually providing fire equipment inspection services. Very common, very normal for something that the government would buy. This is Department of Energy. Due tomorrow, looks like it was extended by a couple days. Small business set aside. They've got a 541990 NAICS code. It looks like this is going to kick us back to Fed Connect. So we'll see what that looks like. And guys, I don't look at these ahead of time. So that this way I can go through them raw with you, because I'm going to go through the same things that you're going to go through. So that way, if I'm experiencing problems or weird things, I can point a spotlight on that to, kind of help you even more. So over here, the way Fed Connects works, which is kind of what I'm talking about, they're just got a little like a TOC, a table of contents with their attachments. So they have a solicitation overview, statement of work, wage determination. So very similar to what you would see. They have organized Amendment 1 here as well. You do not have to be registered in to see this. So we'll just go ahead and take a look. I'm going to start with what appears to be the true solicitation document and just kind of see what that looks like. So 27-page solicitation document. They're referring to RFQ quotes submitted on the SF 1449 form. This is interesting, right? Because they're saying janitorial services. We've been catching a lot lately. Did you guys catch that? Janitorial services. You guys need to do this too. Don't let me being the one to do all the work. This is fire equipment inspection services. Okay. By no stretch of the imagination is this considered a janitorial service, which means, let's see. Look, are they using the same NAICS code, 541990? Yes, they are, but they should be using a janitorial NAICS code, right? So this would require a, and before I go, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole on this. They do have an amendment. So let's just save all of us a whole bunch of time and see if they corrected this. The purpose of this amendment is to extend the date and time for the receipt of quotes. It's hereby extended from the 6th to the 8th, and that's it. So they did not fix it. So we do have to come back to the original document. Maybe this is the only place they're referencing janitorial. I hope contracting officers, do we have any contracting officers that are currently in contracting watching this? Like why? Why are we messing with contractors? I know it's just a mistake, but it's hard enough to learn. Okay. Base period, option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. Jasmine, I'm a contract specialist. Jasmine, what's going on? Why is this happening? Help me out here. Mistakes happen. Humans are humans, right? I think that's the honest. But I like to point it out because too many new contractors are intimidated and overwhelmed by this as very much a second language. And so seeing something like that, they may not question it. And then they say, I'm not understanding. I'm missing something. No, you're not missing something. This is just wrong. You know what I mean? Which is why our solution here on the channel is ask questions, submit RFIs, get clarifications. There's a mechanism for that for bids. I mean, I don't care that this is due tomorrow. It needs to be fixed. But here's the thing. How bad is it? Is it just the one reference? do we have a statement of work that is full-blown janitorial, or is the statement of work actually correct? These are the things that matter. All right. So yeah, we got our reps and certs. We had our SF1449 form that they referenced where they want the pricing housed for the base plus 4 option years. Other than that, not much here. We're not really seeing like a true instruction offers, evaluation factors. We're not seeing a statement of work. So we will refer to some of the other documents. We do have a separately attached statement of work. Not seeing anything for instruction offers or proposal information. So it may be price only. I know it is a true RFQ, request for quote, but I'm curious, what do we need to be technically acceptable? Or is it just filling out that SF1449 form? So here's a statement of work. Let's see if it's saying janitorial or if it's fire. We are seeing annual fire system inspection. So hallelujah. It was just maybe a small little typo, copy and paste job. Be on the lookout for you guys when you're going through this. You just be on the lookout. I'm trying to empower you and give you some of the tools. So they have the FIKE Cheetah XI. It looks like version 721 fire alarm panel. Guys, with this is a small business set aside. I know this is not most of your bread and butter. You're going to be working with a sub. Okay, you're going to be working with a sub in Sydney, Nebraska. You're going to be on the phone. You're going to be calling. You're going to manage this contract, but you're going to work with a sub to provide this service. It's really the most realistic approach to this particular contract. It's likely going to be underneath the simplified acquisition threshold, so there's not going to be any issues with limitations on subcontracting. And the company you work with is probably also going to be a small business, so they would be considered a similarly situated entity anyways. So it's all good in either case. You're doubly covered to kind of sub this out, middleman it. We have a very kind of technical statement of work here, which I don't really spend that much time on. We look for things like site visits, specific tasks, things that you may want to share with your sub to get your quote, to make sure it's apples to apples what they're quoting. Even like a delivery schedule in terms of a contract start date. I'm not seeing that. So we have payment requirements, not going to worry about that, as well as the wage termination. So we don't have a whole lot here besides this. Bouncing back to the SAM page, it's just this. So I'm just going to take one more loop around the sun here on this solicitation, because I did go through the document pretty quickly. Just do one final comb through. Pricing here, print, sign, and date this the SF1449 form, as well as complete box 17A with your name, address, and phone number. Pretty standard stuff. So complete all that. Let's see, did I miss anything? They did give us the delivery point, so they are giving us the address. And then the period of performance we didn't catch the first time around. So September 1st. So another kind of case in point, guys. I know this was pushed back a couple of days, but this work technically started a week ago. And what I also tell all my coaching clients, we got a lot of people in our program that are actively bidding and they're waiting to win. And they're like, man, Derek, the period of performance, the start date is like 2 weeks from now, and they still haven't awarded. What they're going to do is they're going to push back the start date. Very common. They just had to put a date most of the time in there as a placeholder. When the actual contractor is awarded, they want you to be successful, but they also need you to be, on time and on point with this stuff. They're not going to drag it out, but they'll usually even sometimes make sure that a specific date is good with you, and they'll give you a new POP. They'll issue a new notice to proceed. Especially on these small contracts where there's not a huge amount of visibility and they're not like emergency type things. So don't freak out. Don't freak out if you see an approaching start date. They're going to adjust it, guaranteed. Guaranteed most of the time. Okay, so we did gain that. But in terms of the actual response, I'm not seeing any additional clarifications here. Reps, inserts, and that's it. Instruction offers. Yep. So what can be demised from what we have at this short window is RFQ, probably going to be lowest price. Do not see it listed, but we could derive that. And looks like a price only response along with the SF 1449 form and reps and certs. Does not look like they've asked for any sort of approach to maintenance, although I would still even provide it if you had it, if you get a short write-up from your sub, because they're not saying they need it, but it's not going to help you. And, you know, keep it less than 5 pages, keep it kind of short and sweet, but it will help make you technically acceptable, if not even more competitive. All right. So that would be that one, number 2. I know we're not going to get through, we're probably not going to get through all 5 today. We're about halfway through the session. Let's check in with the chat and see what's going on. Close out a few of these documents. All right. Bulldog, answering the previous question, that particular contract with snow removal in Alaska. That's awesome, man. Funnily enough, one of the bids for today is snow removal, also out of NOAA. But this is going to be in Virginia, so that's kind of funny. We'll get to that one in 2 more bids. Freddie Games, I want to add myself to my spouse's business. What do I need to do? Freddie Games, I'm not sure what you mean. To your SAM registration, to your business itself, like to your LLC. You can add users on SAM. You just got to kind of fill out that info. But to your actual business itself, it's maybe not as formal a process as maybe you're assuming that it is. If you're going to start paying her, you put her on payroll. If she's working for free, there's really not much to do. So yeah, feel free to clarify. Cashloo, I own a digital agency and want to bid on marketing contracts. Cool, Cashloo. Are you finding any marketing contracts? I would be interested to know. Marketing is more of a loose term in the federal space. It could look like a number of things. For example, radio advertising space. It could be more event-based marketing, or even like signs and billboards. What else? Television stuff. Could be creating videos. For example, like the National Guard, they'll create for the new year, their recruiting type commercials. So those are just some examples of what marketing could look like, which is why we say spend an uncomfortable amount of time on SAM at the beginning, because in the commercial space, marketing could mean something very, very different. Is it like SEO? Is it more web-based, optimization-based, things like that? Government's not buying a lot of it. So you'll find that out as you go through SAM and see what they're buying. And you work backwards from that to say, okay, is this stuff in my wheelhouse? Is this stuff that I want to do? No. Is it something that I'm willing to grow into then? Is it something I'm willing to expand and add to my package? If not, then it's probably not, like the place for you. And you'd rather find that out now than just force it. Like, hey, I'm not finding the contracts when they're not even buying them the way that you want them to buy them. So it all comes down to understanding the customer. Freddie Games, can we go over construction one? Yeah, I will pull some construction ones from time to time for sure. It's just kind of based off of my searches for the day, what I decide to pull. It's kind of my process. Jay says, I have a janitorial company in Texas. I want to bid on janitorial contracts. Are there any videos in the past I can watch? Yes, Jay, I actually do have a proposal writing video where I go into a lot of depth, even more so than I'm able to on the lives. I've only done a few of those, but one is for janitorial. So definitely seek that out. I think I have like 150 videos. So if you're scrolling through the videos on the YouTube channel, it'll be one of the janitorial ones with like a janitorial looking like thumbnail. Should be able to find that. All right, let's keep it rolling. We'll move on to our next example. Did I just close out? That's okay. I don't think we're gonna have enough for 5. And we just did the fire alarm testing, so we can take out the fire pump pressure one. So we will move on to the snow removal in Sterling, Virginia. Small business set aside 561790. NAICS code in Sterling, Virginia. This is for NOAA, specifically Department of Commerce. This is simplified acquisition, right? So they raised it from 150 to 250 during COVID. So under 250K. We have Nicole Collins in contracting, as well as Richard Barzaghi for any questions that we may come across. We have what appears to just be a straightforward RFQ solicitation document. Number 1 and number 2, a price schedule worksheet, which is an Excel document, which is going to help us price out. For example, with snow removal, you could have different snow plowing types. Type 1 could be for 1 push. Type 2 could be for salting and sanding the sidewalks. Type 3 could be for a type 1 that goes above 6 inches. So you're going to kind of bill double. These are the type of things that I've seen. And, I've done snow removal. So I've seen these type of stipulations broken out in pricing for snowplow. So we'll see what it looks like for them. But first, we'll take a look at the solicitation. Anybody been experiencing this? Almost every other live, I kind of get this black screen of death. And it forces me to kind of like do a restart of the browser. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy these really fast. I'll restart SAM. And I don't know if it's a SAM thing. It only ever happens when I'm using SAM. Or like, is it my computer? Not sure. So I'll go ahead and try to reopen things. So let's get back to our snowplow and see if we can open without the black screen of death. Okay, so yeah, doing a restart seems to fix it. James says SAM.gov has some bugs they need to fix. 100%. And that's what I'm asking. Like, I don't know if that's one of the bugs, or is it me? I don't know. So we have the RFQ, 80 pages. That's a 1449 form. We have a pricing table. So, okay, it looks like a base, option year 1, option year 2, option year 3, option year 4. I do want to dive into what these details are. So, Snow Removal Services, National Weather Services Forecast Office. That's kind of cool. So for 2 to 4 inches of accumulation, historically occurring about every 4 days per year. 4 to 8 inches of accumulation, about every 2 days. 8 to 12, once every 2 years. And 12 to 18, once every 5 years. So this is strange. We're going to dive into this. And then they go on to say freezing rain, pre-application of ice melt, drifting, snow removal. That's not priceable. So you would definitely have to ask contracting for clarification on this, because these are potentially different pushes. They're talking about applying the ice melt, but the way that they're breaking it down is one job. So that's tough. And I don't know why they're doing that. Why not allow us to price separately for 2 to 4 inches and 4 to 8 inches and 8 to 12 inches and 12 to 18 inches and 18 plus inches? Why not? Or break it down into fewer tiers. Like even 2 tiers would be great. 2 to 12 inches is going to be one push, and then 13 plus is going to be another push. That I see that more common. I also see the ice melt or the salt and sanding broken out. Typically, they're cramming this all together. which I'm not too fond of, as you can tell. So would your sub be able to quote this? That's kind of what I'm getting at. Unless you are in landscaping, unless you're in grounds maintenance and you're self-performing 100% of this, maybe you can figure this out. But if you're trying to have a sub go through this and provide one number, one job, either A, good luck, they won't do it, or B, the number is going to be so high, you're probably not going to be competitive. For that reason, I don't love this. I don't think contracting is going to adjust this either, but you could try. Again, when is this due? I may have skipped over it. This is due September 9th. So if you're interested in snow removal, you're going to start seeing a lot more this time of year as they prepare for the winter months and old contracts expire. Something like this, like the way it is, it's not great. I would want to see this broken out. I would ask, I would request, but I would not expect them to do it. And if you're really gung-ho about it, you could try to get a number from the subs. But like I said, 1, good luck. 2, plan on them pricing it high because, I guess the one thing that helps us with this is they are giving you a number, but this number does not save you. So it's about 4 days per year of 2 to 4 inches accumulation. It's about 2 days per year for 4 to 8. It's about once every 2 years for 8 to 12. Okay. But what if you have an off year? Requires, 33% more labor, more work, more time. You're going to have to eat that. So these are things that put you at risk because they're not allowing you to price per a breakout. We do have a pricing worksheet. So I probably should have unsoapboxed that to begin with and checked this out first, but let's see. So interesting because we have the Excel open. They are breaking it out the same way, by base and option years. However, what they've added is these blank lines to put in a price. So it makes it a little bit better. I still don't like the word about. About does not belong in a contract. When you're talking about specific prices, about and a specific price do not go hand in hand. I don't like that part. But if you are, ignoring that, or you're able to price 4 of these, so 4 of the 2 to 4s, 2 of the 4 to 8s, they're saying about once every 2 years. Well, I would change that to once every 1 year. I wouldn't give them a half of a price. I would just protect yourself and do once every year for 8 to 12. They're saying once every 5 years. You have to decide, maybe do that once every year as well. Okay, what is your price for each of these? Pre-application melt. This is going to be as needed. Sorry about that. It's going to be as needed. So the price per application for 1, and then drifts. And that's also going to be per event. But what they're doing is they're going to add all these up. Say it's 1 job and you just put 1 price here. So that's what still makes me kind of skeptical. It's not a great way. They should break it down further so that the variables can truly stand on their own 2 feet. Instead of making a contractor potentially take a loss if they have a bunch of snow. I mean, they should allow you more risk mitigation than what they're providing. So a little bit more on that. But, at the end of the day, I've kind of decided I don't love this. It's going to be largely based on price. What else do we have in the solicitation? Just scrolling, we find the statement of work. So we'll probably find some more tasks and duties broken out here, potentially. Maybe maps. Maybe not. Okay, so yeah, here they talk about the pricing. They are telling you the events to fill out in the pricing schedule but they're just kind of rehashing, restating what we walked through. Here's some of the duties, specific tasks. And there is a map indeed. But obviously you'd want your sub or multiple subs that would quote this to, attend a site visit, do a drive around. If they're from this area, which was what? Virginia, they may be already familiar. If they're giving us square feet, 70,000 square feet, 21,000 square feet, total is 5.5 acres. So this is helpful. We get a wage determination, and they're giving you whenever you see this is, it's what they would pay a government employee to do this. It's why they're calling it equivalent rates. So they cannot dictate what you pay. Okay. But they're just saying it's kind of what they would pay a government employee to do this. And now we do have some instructions for submitting offers under the solicitation must be followed. We know that. What do we have? So sign the SF 1449 form, sign the quote, break the quote down into two parts, a technical quote and a price quote. The technical quote must not contain reference to price, because what they're going to do is they're going to put them on a desk. They're going to have a bit of a source selection process where you have multiple people going through this, and they're going to look at just the technical, and someone else is going to look at just the price, and they're going to evaluate those independently. The technical quote, they want it to be PDF, no longer than 10 pages. I told you guys, they don't want fluff. They don't want a bunch of stuff. Don't tell them your company's history of being open for 20 years or 20 months or whatever. Less than 10 pages. Let's get to the point. They're even saying, 12 times New Roman. Tables, graphics, and other illustrations, shall be less than size 10 font. Covered pages, table of contents, bibliographies do not count towards the technical quote 10 pages. I'm curious to know what they do want in the technical quote. Here we go. So they want technical capability, answering these 5 things, okay, or actually 7 things, A through G. And guys, I always tell you, don't start a bid response or a proposal with a blank sheet of paper. I like you to copy and paste this stuff in here. Like if you have a blank sheet of paper, copy and paste on a blank sheet of paper, create a bunch of space in between this, and then start responding to these sections. And then you can either go and delete the stuff back out, or, if you're answering specific questions, you can leave the question and provide your answer. But you want to organize this verbatim, the way that contracting is providing it to you, and use the same nomenclatures like technical capability, factor 1. Include that in there, because that's exactly what they're going to be looking for. Too many times they're asking for something and you put it in there, but because you didn't organize it properly, or you just made it like a run-on sentence in some paragraph, they couldn't find it, you're marked to be not technically acceptable or not compliant because they just couldn't find it. So much of providing the information is great, but you also have to put emphasis on contracting's ability to organize and find it. And that's more than just, like a table of contents. So you respond to all this. This way, you're covering everything. That's how you're going to be found to be independently, technically. We don't know if this is lowest price or best value. So we don't know if you're going to be rated or if it's just going to be found to be pass fail. But also factor 2, past performance. So you also include that as part of your factor 1. It's actually technical and past performance, all in factor 1. Or I'm sorry, factor 1 and factor 2, but all as part of your technical quote. These are things that matter, that you understand the breakdown. And then the price quote. They, in fact, are going best value, and usually they don't start getting to this level of detail without going to some sort of weighting. That's going to require something to be most advantageous, non-price factors. I'm curious if they're going to have some sort of grading table. Doesn't appear so. And so instead, they're not saying they're going to give you excellent, very good, satisfactory, lacking confidence, very confident. They're not giving us those distinctions. They're just saying an overall, what are they saying? They will evaluate you to the degree to which your approach demonstrates your ability to do the work. Do not merely repeat the statement of work. I tell you the guys that all the time. You have to tell them how. Okay, your technical approach is how. Okay, so like the statement of work is the what. So don't just repeat back to them the what. Your technical capability in this case is how. How are you going to do that? That's up to you to provide that, or to work with a sub, or whatever your strategy is to provide the how. They want to have confidence after reading that. Past performance. Again, with past performance, we talk about the 2 R's, recency and relevancy. They're not telling us if it doesn't look like 1, 2, or 3. It's not a minimum. It's not a maximum. Usually it's kind of like the rule of 3. If they don't tell you. But if you have 1, you use 1. You can also use subcontractor past performance, though. It's written into the FAR. Okay, so we haven't gotten to see some of this stuff on some of the solicitations we looked at today, so that's why we're calling out some of this additional info. And this info is actually, pretty standard with a lot of, more like RFP responses, not as much with RFQs. We're seeing the pricing schedule again. Not sure which one they want us to fill out, because I think that's, at this point, number 3. We've got the Excel sheet. We have the actual pricing schedule, attachment B. Then we have the pricing schedule again. So that's also clarification to make. When in doubt, fill them all out. So yeah. Any other documents? The pricing sheet and the RFQ. I think that's about it on that one. That is one of the more involved. And it's kind of interesting, right? Because it's simplified acquisition. So they're kind of going through all this for under 250K. And that's over 5 years. So contracting is actually investing a lot of time and taxpayers' dollars on an extremely small, relatively small contract. So interesting. All right. S. James, not you. It's a bug on their web app that pops up during a reload of the page somewhere. Oh, well, thank you for that, S. James. I will make a mental note of that. I will keep overcoming it with a browser restart, as I've been doing. I'm not an IT guy at all. So that actually makes me feel better that I don't have to worry about any impending doom of my computer desktop crashing. Jasmine Jarman, this is true. Get to the point. And you guys are hearing it straight from, I believe, a specialist, contracting specialist. So, yeah, 100%. And Jasmine, cool to have you hanging out with us. Definitely appreciate yours. And we usually have a number of others as well that have contracting experience as well. So, valued member of the community. Thanks for definitely hanging out. So I'll just open up our last one since our last SAM.gov crash. We'll go ahead and move to our last one, which is crane rental with licensed operator. Okay, this is for the Army. Due September 14th, so you got a week. Small business set aside, 238990, other specialty trade contractors. And just a tip of the trade, guys, if you're newer at this stuff, you're trying to take my advice at spending an uncomfortable amount of time at SAM at first to learn your customer and to really learn what they buy. Study the NAICS codes, because you can reverse engineer a list, and maybe you get here by a keyword, or maybe you arrive at this listing page from a different NAICS code. Always check these, because then you're like, oh, I didn't think to use this. I was using 236220 or some other, construction NAICS code for this crane rental, because I thought maybe cranes construction went hand in hand, right? We're always trying to figure this stuff out. learn what the government's using, literally learn the language that they're speaking, and then you can add this and enhance your searches. And then it becomes a dialing in, process and approach, so that you start out saying, you know what, Derek, I'm not finding a lot. I hear this a lot. To, maybe 2 months later of doing this practice, to like, okay, I'm finding more than what I can handle. So now I'm learning to go on to what we call system number 2, a qualifying system, to shortlist the best opportunities for my business, so that I can move on to my bidding system and start actually going after these, putting some numbers on the board, submitting compliant responses, instead of trying to go after any and everything. We learn how to, evaluate and choose the quality solicitations, quality for us, not quality in terms of what the work is, but something that's going to be a best fit for us. So you can ascend to doing that by enhancing and dialing in your searches. And you do that by checking for these little clues, by what are the other keywords and NAICS codes, and in some cases even PSC codes, like we see here, W036, that you can search by to find work that is a close match for your business in a search that maybe you're not doing yet. I hope that makes sense. So this is Hickam Air Force Base out of Hawaii. We have a solicitation doc, we have salient features, and we have a statement of work, PWS, 3 attachments here. Make sure I close everything else out. Yeah, we're good here. So let's just dive into the solicitation. And guys, this is crane rental with an operator. So kind of interesting. SF 1449 form again. Pricing CLIN, just one CLIN. Looks like it's going to be all in one job for the rental and the operator. Our delivery schedule down here is going to hopefully tell us some dates. They need this from the 18th of October through the 2nd of November. So one and done, right? They need the crane. They need the person to operate the crane. You need to provide both and provide the government one price to do that. So this is something, what is the set aside? It's total small. Okay, so you're probably, you're approaching some sort of retailer. This is also going to be simplified acquisition below 250. So again, limitations on subcontracting do not apply. So you could reach out to anybody who could provide this, even if they're a large business, unless it's, you want to go to like a Komatsu or John Deere retailer, something like that. But you're going to need to provide the licensed operator. Maybe they provide that, maybe they don't. So that would be kind of some of the work you have to do. And again, it's going to be local to Hawaii. I didn't catch which island. I don't know if it's Oahu or the Big Island, or I didn't catch that. Reps and certs. Terms and conditions. Could be price only. Definitely probably going to be LPTA. We have Travis and Angela in contracting. Okay, Fort Schaefer, Hawaii. They are giving you, they may give us the salient features, but they may give us a name brand for what they want for the crane or multiple cranes. They want a 10-ton crane. Must be able to lift at least 10 tons. They want 30-foot radius. So these are the specs that you give. And then they say, okay, we're going to propose this. This is what we have available for that rental date. And they may overshoot it. If they do that, you might not be price competitive. So you might want to get multiple quotes. B, lifting straps, hooks, and slings for lifting. C, provide the qualified and licensed crane operator to work between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. local time. Looks like these dates are, they are through. So October 18th. No, they're not through. That's kind of interesting. Let me double check that. They're giving us and dates. They're not giving us through dates. So that is just one thing on this I want to double check. All these details are really important, guys. It says here October 18th to November 2nd. So that makes you think all of those dates. But on the, where'd it go? The other document we have, where did it go? I'll open it. Oh, it's an Excel sheet. That's why. On the other document, they're saying October 18th, 19th, 20th, October 28th, 30th. So they skipped the 21st to the 27th, which could totally make you misprice this. And then November 1 and 2 as well. So that would affect the days for the crane operator. I'm guessing the crane is probably going to stay there. I don't know. They could take it back because you're going to be paying for it, and it's not a lot of days. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, that's almost a whole other week. So yeah, like if you're going to get pricing for 2 weeks instead of just the 1 week, you're going to way overprice this thing. So they're going to have to bring the crane back on that, like that 1 week off, the 21st to the 27th. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. That detail is an important one to catch. Probably the most significant detail for this one, since other than this, it seems extremely straightforward. I didn't see any salient features though for the crane other than, which is, I guess that's all they're going to give us, is the tonnage, 10 tons, and then the straps and the hooks, and then the 30-foot radius. This is actually going to be over at Hickam Air Base. They're repeating the same period of performance, which is still, not accurate. And guys, just a note on contractor manpower reporting. I've seen this recently where somebody I was working with, they put a big number for CMR. For the Army, they have a site where annually they have you like upload labor. Usually we don't put a number for CMR if you see it in a pricing CLIN. We didn't see it in this one, but if you ever see it in a pricing CLIN, you either put 0 and you kind of build it in, which you only do that if it's an insignificant number. I've seen contractors do. If you do want to break it out, then by all means break it out and put the number here. But this is not like the labor. This is not the manpower. It's just the little bit of manpower required to do this uploading of data at the end of the year. So not something we ever really talk about. It's pretty small, but I have seen people kind of mess this up. So just make sure you don't have any confusion about CMR if you see it as a broken out pricing CLIN, which you will see if you're in the space long enough. Cool. Yeah, that's about it for this one. All right, guys, that was our final solicitation here. If you liked it, smash the like button. We will be back again tomorrow, like I said. And guys, there's so much more to learn about bidding and winning on SAM than what we do during these lives. If you're someone who's trying to bid on SAM.gov like now, like you're ready, if you're coachable, if you value the power of using systems in your business, you want a step-by-step proven process to follow, whether it's you doing your first solicitation or you've tried to do it on your own, but you didn't feel really good after you submitted it, or you just want the added safety of having somebody to be able to look at a bid with you or even look at your proposal before you send it off. I do invite you to apply to our coaching program. We're super selective about who we're working with moving forward. We've always been, but just even more so nowadays. But our clients who do join are responding to bids the first month they join. So that's our first kind of goal out of the gate, to get a quick quote unquote win. Responding to your first bid in 30 days is something that we're very focused on. Not that you're necessarily going to win that bid, but it is a win in and of itself to break out of kind of the shackles of the confusion and being intimidated and overwhelmed by the second language that is federal contracting. To be able to have that huge win out of the gate is something that we're very focused on. We do have some who end up winning that contract. We do have others that win the following month. So we have a lot of great stuff going on. If the program sounds something like it was tailor-made for the support you are needing, I do invite you to apply at the link below this video. We do have an application process that's pretty painless to go through. And if you're a good fit, we would absolutely love to, get on a call with you and learn more about your business and what you're looking to do. But like I said, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. This way you don't miss future live videos. And if you have questions, bring them and we will help to get those answered during the live sessions as well. So until next time, guys, thanks for hanging out. It's been a blast and we will see you all in the next one. Take care.